You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome in and welcome all. We are back. It's the Insight NFL crew. Just a skeleton crew tonight, but Mav, no finer person than yourself to tackle tonight's show. We're freshly off last night's live cash draft. And I'll tell you what, I've been going through trying to send some trades out to Secko in particular, but he drives a hard bargain, just like yourself. How are you feeling coming off that cash draft last night that we were all involved in?
Yeah, I was pretty proud with my team, to be honest with you. I was looking at it last night after our draft, and I was pretty stoked. Sort of got a few good picks in there, a few steals, and a bit of upside to go with it. Not to brag, I'm going to double check this before I do really tell you. But not to brag, but the team was projected to be the highest in the league. Doesn't mean anything. Projections mean nothing. But just want to put it out there.
I did notice that, and I wish I could have placed a little wager on what you would have opened up with tonight when I asked you that question, because that would have been for sure the answer to go with. But if you guys did not catch that Cash League live draft last night, link is in the video below. I think we nearly hit 2 hours. It was a bit of a beast of a stream, but still, all in all, fun. That league was filled with all of us at Inside NFL. Along with some WhatsApp guys in our NFL community and a few other guys that reached out through socials. So thanks again for everyone tuning in. But tonight we're back to the SuperCoach saga. It continues, and our third edition of our team reveals, my very own. And now this feeling, it's a lot more, I guess, nerve-wracking than a 90-second pick timer. Going up, I think maybe if following just absolute professionals in yourself and also Secko's team reveal, it's going to be hard to beat. It's hard to kind of sway away from the chalk selections, but I've made a couple little spicy things to change it up. So it'd be good to give a new perspective for everybody tuning in. But Mav, my team reveal tonight, have you tinkered around with yours since last week?
Haven't done any changes at all, to be honest with you. Again, it's pretty hard when it's pretty perfect, but nah. I haven't actually touched much of it. It'll probably happen in the next few days or so when I start logging back in and tinkering around a little bit. Look, it won't be a hell of a lot of change. It'll be injury news or any risk for week one. So again, just a little recap, just a watch on Neighbours and AJ Brown, looking like they're going to play, but just to keep an eye out there, just say that they do play.
Yeah, it's a good one to watch out, and we've still got a couple of weeks to go. Next Friday will be the kickoff for the NFL, and it's your Cowboys taking on the defending champs in Philadelphia Eagles. So that'll be a good one to watch out, and it's all lining up to be a bit of a bloodbath, but there should be plenty of fantasy points on the board, which is what we are here to see. Following with your team reveal and Secko's, both the links to those are in the video description below, along with our SuperCoach Q&A show that we had at the back end of last week. And that was another fun one, the SuperCoach Q&A. I'm sure we'll have another one up before the season start, just answering the most asked questions. We're always getting, people sliding in, getting some advice. So it was good to give back and put it in a video format. But Mav, before we get into tonight's team reveal, a little bit of news has been breaking today, and it was the day for a couple of deals. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Washington Commanders, his hold in is now over. He's gotten a huge bag of money for his troubles. 3-year, $96 million deal, similar to that of Cortland Sutton, but good to see this deal's finally gotten done, and there's still a couple of weeks where we can sneak in training before the season start. But how are you feeling with this Terry news? Is he now back on your draft board, or are you looking to still kind of fade at cost?
Oh, look, I was always starting to fade. I think he had a mega year last year. And I know he hasn't really had a QB throughout his career, but it was almost like an unexpected breakout year, to be honest. Contract year, might I add, but it came with the upgrade at QB, I suppose. But just really sort of broke out. I have got my problems or issues that he might not be able to reflect it this year. They still have Deebo Samuel in the house. there, well, as a new wide receiver. So there's going to be some competition there for targets and touches. And look, Scary Terry had some big games based off touchdowns. So the number of touchdowns last year was astronomical. So if he can mirror that, it should be a good year. But again, I've got my doubts. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be under a bit of pain this year. They're going to feel they're going to bring some pressure. They've got some like tape around him now, and they got some actual some vision to scheme around him. So it's going to be a lot tougher for him to actually mirror that his rookie year. Could be very much like Stroud's year. I doubt it, but Stroud had that massive drop off in 2025 just based off tape and obviously injuries as such. But yeah, no, I haven't really been. I haven't got Scary Terry in any league yet, mate. So,
and I imagine it's the same too for SuperCoach Mav, because looking at it now, he's at 15.7 mil, one spot below Drake London, and you know the likes of Jamison Williams, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, all those guys are cheaper than Terry McLaurin. It's just not just at that cost. You're banking on him to repeat his 13 touchdown season, which was the highest of his career by a landslide. He's definitely primed for that touchdown regression. And yeah, like you mentioned, Deebo Samuel in the works as well. That's adding more competition. But
and keep in mind as well, he hasn't had any training camps at all. Coming off an injury, so they say. I'm not too confident that's actually the case, but hasn't had any training camp at all. So we saw Jamar Chase last year, his first week against the Cleveland Browns. I think they played in week 1 last year. He struggled. I think he had 2 catches for the game. So it might take Scary Terry just a little bit to get going based off his no training camp. So one to watch.
Yeah, it's a cautious one for sure. And the one example that I keep bringing up probably a little too much is that Brandon Ayuk comparison when he held out last year. Just didn't work well at all for him. You could clearly tell he'd missed, or he wasn't in NFL ready shape. And by week 6, he'd tore his ACL, which is of course freak incident. But you'd like to think if he did have that conditioning under his belt, he might have been a little bit more, less susceptible to that injury. But very good news for Terry McLaurin. I know I was a little bit wary with Jaden Daniels if that deal wasn't going to get done, but he's definitely still going to be a gun and with that rushing potential. But to stick with veteran wide receivers, Amari Cooper. He leaves the free agent block and he signs with the Raiders, the team that he entered the NFL with. Very small deal, 1 year, $3.5 million guarantee, but it's worth up to $6 million, I believe, in incentives. Now, looking at this initially, and I know our WhatsApp group was going off this morning around this news, and our own Secko brought up that this probably hits Dante Thornton the most because Amari Cooper probably slots into that X receiver role, taking away from the 4th-round rookie in Dante Thornton. How are you feeling about this move, Mav, with Amari Cooper back to the Raiders?
Well, it's very interesting, and it was sort of on the back end of, and I'm going to mention Jacoby Myers in the same sort of category, but Jacoby Myers obviously requesting a trade this morning as well. They're sort of tied to each other. So Jacoby Myers requests a trade, they go out and sign Amari Cooper. It was a bit of a tit for tat sort of scenario, right? So Amari looked pretty washed last year. I'm not going to lie. He was in a really solid situation with Josh Allen and the Bills, and he couldn't get anything going at all. So look, there is a bit of concern that he might be a bit washed. But in saying that, it's a reunion. He comes with Geno Smith, so it's not like it's an awful sort of QB connection there. He's a bit of a gunslinger himself in Geno. So look, I don't really think too much of it, to be honest with you. I actually thought he retired. I honestly thought he retired. So to see him actually sign a deal was a surprise in itself. But it doesn't really excite me too much, mate. They still have Tyler Lockett, I believe, in the house too, don't they?
No, Tyler Lockett's with the Titans.
Oh, righto. I just keep thinking he's stuck with Pete Carroll.
Yeah, no, he's gone. He's gone. I guess the main thing, like the main beneficiaries, of course, Geno Smith, he gets a little bit of a bump up. And also Ashton Genty, I think his touchdown upside will increase a little bit more with Amari Cooper and their ability to move the ball down the field more with him on toe. But yeah, it'll be hard to see. Like you said, good situation in the Bills last year, and with their carousel of wide receivers, they didn't really have an alpha. He couldn't really step up and claim any targets. So Yeah, could be on that wash side of things. And the last real news in terms of NFL transactions that went through today, another Raiders move. Kenny Pickett, backup fourth string quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, is now signed to the Raiders. So this one is just, it is what it is. He's got him there to compete with Aiden O'Connell as a second string guy. Gino's still the guy through and through for as long as he's under contract and healthy. I just don't understand why anybody would want to give away a 5th round pick for Kenny Pickett. I just think he's worth absolutely nothing. Could you make sense from this one, Mav, or it's purely just a more NFL savvy move?
I don't understand the fascination of Kenny Pickett, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Former 1st round pick, but all in all, I just don't understand what's to like about him. I mean, the Browns are never going to take 4 QBs through. That was always going to be just a shit decision, really. Especially with the draft capital you've invested into Gabriel and Shador. But yeah, at the same time, like, Kenny Pickett signed a 1-year deal in the offseason and then to get traded, like the Raiders could have just signed him in the offseason if that's what they wanted, and it wouldn't have cost them a draft pick. I mean, look, albeit it's not the greatest amount of capital, but I don't know. I'd rather take a dart on the dartboard than Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, he must be a really good locker room guy. I reckon a little bit like yourself, Mav, just brings the vibes. Everyone's around it. Maybe that's worth it. A 5th round pick just to improve the overall state of the locker room. It could be the case because I can't see it being anything else, really. So, but that's really all the kind of news that has been out recently or mainly today. In terms of injuries, we've only really had a couple of things, and it kind of segues to our discussion last night about Patty Mahomes and how we think that offense will look this year. Hollywood Brown, he was injured for the last couple of weeks, dealing with an ankle / foot injury, and it looks like he should be good to go for the start of week 1. So the more weapons for Patty Mahomes, the more upside he's going to have and the ability to stretch the field and gain in those explosive plays. Hollywood Brown, Mav, is he a late round dart throw healthy, or you're more focused on the improvements to Patty Mahomes and the offense as a whole?
I don't mind Hollywood Brown. I can see the attraction. I can see, the want there. Obviously, late in fantasy drafts, I think he's fine as a player. Unfortunately, didn't play. I don't think he played any games last year, or maybe he played 1 and came back. I can't remember at the top of my head, but it was very minimal, if anything at all. So if he can get healthy and sort himself out, he'll be beneficial to Patty Mahomes for sure. It's just another target for him, I suppose, and another deep ball threat in Patty Mahomes' game. It's beautiful for him. For Hollywood Brown's stat line, you can very well see him being really boom or bust in any given week, which has sort of been his career in itself, hasn't it? Boom or bust for fantasy. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like, but yeah, I don't mind it. I can see the attraction for a late round pick.
Yeah, it could be a nice little stash option once that Rashee Rice suspension comes through, if it is this year, and if it is the middle part, once he goes down, it's definitely going to open up more of a window for Hollywood Brown to start cooking on some deep shots. And the talent is there. I believe he's a former 1st round pick himself. So it's still there, but just been copping the injuries the past couple of years. And the only other thing, Mav, to mention before we get into my team reveal for this evening, Jalen McMillan. Now, this injury happened a couple of weeks ago in the 2nd preseason week. It was a nasty hit. He was up in the air catching a ball, and he got chopped from underneath and injured his neck. They believe, the Tampa Bay Bucks, that he will be on the PUP to start the year and potential to return probably around week 8, week 9 is probably when he's going to be ready to go. In hand with that, Chris Godwin, he's not starting the year on the PUP, but still he'll probably miss the first couple of weeks, we think. Anything to add from you on Jalen McMillan? I mean, I've just got to throw it in there. Egmeka Egbuka, the runway is just so clear for him, but is there anything else that you're kind of seeing with this situation?
Not really. Jalen McMillan was probably going to be number 3, number 4 anyway in this offense. Maybe might have made life difficult for Egbuka, but I mean, there's always going to be a clear pathway for Egbuka to come through, regardless.
Very true.
And they just signed Godwin anyway to not a bad deal. So McMillan is always going to be in the weeds. He was always going to be maybe a trade candidate throughout the year. So you want him to be healthy still, and you can still get some capital on him to move him on. And he's a good player. He's actually a good player. I don't mind Jalen McMillan, but I don't think he's got a future at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw last year down the stretch when they had no Godwin, he was getting some touchdowns. I think he had like 4 or so touchdowns over a couple of games. So it could maybe hinder Baker Mayfield a little bit. Perhaps it's going to cap his upside because it's one less receiver, especially if Godwin does start to miss games to start the year. So one to watch, but all in all, not too many injuries to report, which is good signs this close to start the year. But we'll get into it. My team reveal, and I will pull it up here on the screen, so we'll have a little bit of a live interaction. Where are we here? Cool. And I'll just quickly move our heads around so it's a little bit tighter. So going to be going through the same format. I'll go through position through position, player through player, very similar to Secko's and Mavs that we have done in the past. And we'll go through, and hopefully Mavs got some nice or nasty comments. All are welcome as we go through. So, all right, let's get it through. And I will just kind of preface my philosophy here, like following your show and also Secko's show. I'm looking to cash grab early. I want to maximize those cash gains. So I'm trying to get a little bit cute in a couple of positions, but there's some positions where it's just so chalky. It's hard to really move away from guys because they just look so good on paper.
You didn't just copy my team at all. You're not rolling the same team I did you? Are you?
Absolutely not.
Nice.
Absolutely not. No.
Nice.
Couldn't bring myself to it. There is a couple of picks though. I won't. You did persuade me a couple of times because you just got the gift of the gab there, Mav. You just you worded things a little bit too good, and it's just I'd be an idiot not to take it up. But anyhow, we'll jump to first position. My starting quarterback. Again, with this here, I just couldn't. Looking at the top guys, I want this spot to produce early and out the gate. And looking at these guys at the top here, there's a guy that just sticks out like a sore thumb in terms of cost and what I think his production can be compared to the top guys. And I will start off by copying you here, Mav. It is Jalen Hurts. He is my starting quarterback. I just think he's $4 million less, or sorry, just over $3 million less than Josh Allen, and then even $5 million less than Lamar Jackson. We mentioned at the start of the show, he's got the Cowboys week 1. I think he could just go absolutely nuclear. He could have the number 1 overall quarterback performance to start off with. And we expect him to pass the ball a little bit more. We don't think that Saquon will carry nearly as much as a workload as what he did last year because it was just, surely it's not sustainable. And the Eagles are going to want to need him down the stretch. So, which leads to more Hurts passing, hopefully more Hurts passing touchdowns. I think he's a lock for double-digit rushing touchdowns just with the tush push not being voted out this year, but we'll capitalize on that while we still have it. And Jalen Hurts, it's just so hard to pass, I think, at the gates. With that being said, Mav,
mate,
what do you think?
Good start. A good start. I can't give you any crap on that because it's a player I've got, but yeah, I think he hit the nail on the head at the start of that one. You pretty much just said, like, value for money. Jalen Hurts is the guy, right? You can pay premium dollar there for Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, but I think Jalen Hurts is nearly on par with those two anyway. When he's really on, dual threat, so he can do it through the air and on the ground. So you know exactly what you're going to get with him. So yeah, I the value for money, it's just you're going to gain money, especially after week 1 matchup against Dallas. You expect him to be coming out and putting up a big score early on. That's probably going to happen. They could score 40 that week, mate. They really could. So,
they could.
Yep, great option. In my team still, and probably won't leave. And again, captain option for week 1. If they're putting up 40 points, we're hoping that Saquon doesn't have the 3 tutties or 4 tutties or something like that to hurts a little bit. No, I'm trying to not say the same word there, but that's how it goes. But it really could be a monster score week 1.
Yeah, this one, I just couldn't see any other different option than Jalen Hurts here. I was thinking maybe Jaden Daniels, he is worth a little bit more, but that whole Terry news leading up to it didn't really feel too comfortable about. And I think Jalen Hurts probably has more rushing touchdown upside than Jaden Daniels when it's all said and done. So the value is just way too good. He would have been a close second here. And to take another page out of your book, Mav, I'm going with rookie 101 overall pick in my quarterback bench spot in Cam Ward. And this one again, it's all just cash. Like I don't want to have a starting guy on this roster. That's a premium cost. There's just no point. He's not going to score me any points there, and there's a potential for him to lose value throughout the year. I don't think Cam Ward will lose value. But with that being said, week 1 is going to be hard against Denver. But even still, his break even at that cost, surely he should get enough points to get past his break even and start generating some cash. But after Denver, the Tennessee Titans face LA Rams. They gave up a lot of points to quarterbacks last year, but their defense is definitely on the rise. That could be another tough one. But then after that, Indiana, Houston, Arizona, and Las Vegas. So a couple of exploitable matchups, I think, for Cam Ward. And I just can't see him not generating cash, especially sitting on the bench like that. And there's no real other option in terms of rookie quarterbacks from this year that will have a starting role right at the gate.
Yeah, and again, I keep mentioning this, but cash is king in this format. It is. So I'm not really too invested in the scoring output of Cam Ward. Like, we're not asking for him to put up some top 10 numbers here by any stretch. We're asking him to generate us some cash so we can upgrade along the line. So, hopefully by week 6, week 7, he's at his absolute peak. That peak might show us at about, anywhere between $12 to $15 million, hopefully. Yes, obviously good play comes with cash gen. But again, we're not wanting this guy. We would love him to be a top 10 player, but it's not expected for him to be a top 10 player to generate some cash. So, look, it's going to be at times, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough for him at times. So it's all about trading him out at the right time, getting him out for, maybe on a poor matchup, not too early, not too late. It's all about selling at the right time. But at this current point in time, you need these guys on your bench to generate some coin for you.
And he's got some sneaky rushing upside as well. So like if he adds a little bit there in the ground, maybe he runs in a couple of cheap rushing touchdowns when that offense is, in the red zone area, could provide even a little bit more extra cost. So yeah, happy to take him there and follow insert with you, Mav. He's just too good with it. So we'll go with that. But leading into my running backs, and I believe this guy as well, he also was on your squad. But again, it's just so hard to look past this guy in terms of cost. He's the 4th ranked running back overall. I've got him projected as my 101 running back in this year, and it is Mr. Bijan Robinson, running back for the Atlanta Falcons. And last year, Bijan hit a ripper year in terms of SuperCoach scoring. He finished 4th behind Barkley, Gibbs, and Henry. But I think he still left a bit of meat out on the bone there. He had 14 rushing touchdowns and 1 in the receiving. I think that can go up. And the reasoning behind that, I think Michael Penix, he should hopefully be better than what Kirk Cousins was for a majority of last year. So that should raise the offense a little bit as a whole. And I also think with the injuries that they've been sustaining in Darnell Mooney and the lack of other pass catchers they have outside of Drake London and our boy Kyle Pitts, I just think these guys are going to rely so heavily on Bijan Robinson, and especially around that goal line area. Michael Penix Jr., I feel like he's just going to be looking for Bijan for those cheap little dump offs, and hopefully he'll sneak in a couple of scores in the receiving room as well. So yeah, just at that cost, purely again at the price, I wanted to fade the top 3 guys in that rank. And Bijan, his cost, I mean, he's $2 million less than Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's going to outproduce, and he's not competing with David Montgomery there in that starting role. So yeah, he's my number 1 running back there, Mav, and I think you'd like to agree because you've got him as well.
Yeah, I do. I have Gibbs as well, though. So, he's my number 2 running back on my team. But anyway, no, I definitely agree with the Bijan take. I'm going to call him Bijan because that's what he is to me. Look, I really like him. And that's obvious. He's in my team. So does he have real RB1 upside? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to be the RB1? Yep. He's probably in that line. I wouldn't be surprised by any stretch if he is, which again sort of lets you know what we all think of the potential. And yeah, coming into his 4th year now, I believe it's time to really sort of stand out as the number 1. This could be the year. He's probably one of the most experienced players in this roster on the offense at the moment. Penix is obviously pretty young and raw still to a degree, but they need Bijan to step up, take a bit of the load of the work, and just make it happen really. And he's got every ability to do so. He can do it. He could have games of 6, 7, 8 catches in a game easily, but he could also have 150 yards on the ground and a couple of rushing touchdowns as well. So he's really a do it all sort of player. So it's awesome. It's awesome. He's such a good player.
He is. He's a true workhorse in the NFL. He's an absolute beast of a human to take the workload. But linking in with workhorse running backs in the NFL, the next guy that I just couldn't move away from, it was Bijan and also Christian McCaffrey. And now I know you and also Secko had CMC in your team. And this is, again, it's just the cost is just too good. CMC, we know what he is when he is healthy. The only thing that we are worried about is that injury. But of course, the SuperCoach format is just so friendly for guys that could sustain an injury. I'm hoping because he had a lot of time off last year, we don't have to worry about that at all. And he just plays all 17 out the gate. But even if he does, I can just burn a trade and it's no harm, no foul with that. And him being $3 million less than Bijan, he could definitely compete up there and be a top 2 option in that running back position. We've seen in Christian McCaffrey's previous healthy seasons, he's had 4 healthy seasons besides his rookie year. And in each of those years, he's finished as a top 2 running back in each season. In 2023, when he was the number 1 overall running back, he lapped the field by quite a large margin. And because of how that happened was just the amount of touchdown upside that this guy has. He had 14 rushing and 7 receiving touchdowns. So 21 total touchdowns. We're getting 12 points for each touchdown. It's just too much. There's just too much there, too much production to not have on your team. And the only thing I'm worried about is that injury, but SuperCoach format's just too friendly for that. So it's hard to move away from Bijan and CMC in the starting spots.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, injury risk with CMC is obviously a concern. But again, like we've got 26 trades in a year or something like that. So it's not really a massive problem if he does get hurt. As I kept saying, it's actually worse if a rookie gets hurt at this point in time versus or a mid-price player versus a primo because they've already made their money or they're already there. You don't want them to drop $5, $6, $7, $8 million, obviously, and then get injured. But if he gets injured off the, and he's dominating, at least you can still, do a sideways trade with, I don't know, Jonathan Taylor, for example, or just spitballing a name there. But I really like CMC. I think that this year in particular, they might even lean on him a bit more. The offense is looking pretty shaky. A lot of guys that aren't healthy, and then it's really going to be him, Kittle, and Pearsall. So expect CMC to be heavily involved, and hopefully he can stay healthy because realistically, he could have a monster year based off volume. Again, it's CMC. We know what we're going to get.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and great point, Mav, touching on that. Like those missing pieces, where are they going to go to? We see trends with when it's wide receivers going down, more than likely the running back starts to see some more catches out of the backfield, and he's already involved so much in that area. If he gets even more, could lead to more touchdowns as well, just more production. And last thing on CMC, their schedule is just so juicy at the gate. Seattle could be a little bit tough, but then the Saints, Arizona, and Jacksonville. So he could just absolutely smash. Probably get a touchdown in every single game, I'd imagine too, just how good and how involved he is. Moving on to my third guy. Now, this one is a little bit of a shake-up. He is the model of tonight's thumbnail. I am very, very clucky for this person. It is Bucky Irving, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for me, I did want to get a little bit cute here, and I think Bucky Irving just really fits this spot. Between this range here, it was between either Bucky or Chase Brown. I'm really focused on cash gain, so I kind of faded the top 3 guys. But looking at Chase Brown and Bucky, I think they will have very similar production at the gate, and you're getting about a 1.7 mil discount from Chase Brown compared to Bucky Irving. And I don't really think there's any issues when it comes to Bucky Irving. He's involved a whole heap in the passing game and also that running game. His snap shares, of course, last year while he was competing with Rashad White, it wasn't as high as what we'd like to see, but if you look deeply between the lines and past the snap share counts, he was getting so much opportunities when it came to when he was involved on the field. When he's on the field, he gets the touches, he gets utilized, and I just think he's going to be an absolute gun at the gate. And looking back at it, there was only 2 games where he had over 60% snap share all year. I project that to change. Rashad White, of course, he's there, but I think they'll probably line him up a little bit more outside with the lack of receivers to start the year. So Bucky's going to be that main guy under the mantle. And he just went absolutely nuclear when it came to SuperCoach scoring. And week 12, when he started seeing a lot of the work, we had 16 or more total opportunities in these games. So week 12, 48.4, absolutely monster. Week 13, 52 points. And then he was injured through week 14, so he didn't really, I think he only had 16% of the snaps in that game. But in week 15, still produced 24 SuperCoach points while he was kind of dealing with those injuries. And then 33.4 in week 16 and a big 42 bomber in week 17. And I just can't see it slowing down. I think the Bucky, I'm not worried about the draft capital, is 4th round draft pick from 2023. I think he's just kind of exceeded that in line with Kyron Williams. I just think Bucky will really fuel this offense, and he's well and truly got a chance for double-digit touchdown upside when he did finish with 8 last year, and he barely saw as many snaps as a starting running back would see. Mav, with you on this one, Bucky is a little left field. I don't think we've spoke about him at all when it comes to SuperCoach. How do you feel about this pick?
Lucky for Bucky, huh?
Lucky for Bucky.
Look, what's he ranked there? Is it the 20th highest priced player there? Is that what I'm seeing?
20th.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. So yeah, you are getting a bit of a discount for a guy who has true upside in this format. You're right. Given the opportunity last year, from like week 10, week 12 onwards, he took it and ran. No pun intended, but he literally did. And no one could stop him. He wasn't getting, broken tackles was his thing. He was a machine. And again, a guy who can sort of do it through the air and on the ground, right? He's very versatile. There's nothing that he can't really do in an offense. So I like the pick. You're getting a bit of a discount. Do I think he's going to be a candidate to be an RB1, as in like the RB1? Probably not. But you're going to have some big games along the way.
Yeah. And I guess more so which kind of leaned me towards Bucky over anything else was just the lack of wide receivers that they have. I see him getting utilized more, and they've got they've got some friendly kind of matchups to start the year too. Atlanta, Houston, the Jets, and then Philly, of course, which is going to be tough. But if those wide receivers are still missing, and Godwin and McMillan, of course, which has been confirmed, I think he's going to see more action in those spots. And even if he's utilized more in the receiving game, perfect. We'll take as much production as we can get. But for my last starting running back, and I'm going to tie in all these guys with bench as well, because this is just going to be very chalk. I'm not going to spend much time. It's the top running back trios, top rookie running back trio, rather. That is the hotness at the moment. And I will just quickly scroll down to these guys. Ashton Genty, he will be my starter at the gate because I think he will have the most opportunity out of all these guys. Marion Hampton, he is my first bench spot, and then also Trevion Henderson as well. So looping in these 3 rookie running backs here, it's just too hard to pass up. Like all these guys, where this rookie running back class was one of the best ones we've seen for quite some time. And, all of these guys, Genty and Hampton, first round picks, and Trey Henderson was a very early second round pick. And the hit rates on those guys throughout the years is just phenomenal. Much better than that of a wide receiver in teams investing in running backs at the gate. And yeah, it's just too hard to pass up. Like looking at it, looks like a lot of people are in line as well, because Trevion Henderson is 39% owned, Amarian Hampton's 47%, and Genty is climbing and he's at 58% owned. And I'm just going to cash in on that. All these guys are way too good to pass up. The only other ones that might have been in consideration if I wanted to, again, get a little bit too cute, but I didn't want to go get too ahead of my skis, is maybe Ollie Gordon. He's a bit of a cheaper option, and with therefore the Dolphins. But again, their offense is going to stink. And also the social media sensation in Bill Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt as well. He's another sleeper that I think will have starting roles, but they're only 400 grand cheaper than these guys, and these guys are going to be absolute guns straight out the gate. So absolute no-brainer. It'll be very hard not to see these guys in everybody's lineup once we get to week 1.
Hopefully, Corey Merritt doesn't, Bill, should I call him? Hopefully, he doesn't play at all in the first couple of weeks, and he's a downgrade option and throughout the year. That's probably not going to be the case, but yeah, hopefully he is. Going to be interesting to see what we do with upgrades and downgrades throughout the year. Actually, that's going to be very interesting because in like NRL, AFL worlds, you have first gamers that come on the scene. These players are playing from the get go, so downgrades and upgrades is going to be an interesting game. One to watch, one to monitor. It's probably much like striking while the iron's hot at the right time is probably how to do it. But we'll soon work out a bit of the strategy behind that. But yeah, those three are just locks, man. Like they're your three safest running back rookies that you've got in the class. You got Caleb Johnson there. We're not sure if he's starting week 1 or if he's going to be a backup as such. So he's a bit of a risky option coming off the gate. Same with Ollie Gordon. A-Chain's expect to be playing in week 1. So Ollie Gordon's, get tied out to a backup role. So hopefully he doesn't play at all or minimal. And then we can trade for him throughout the year if A-Chain goes down or whatever. But yeah, mate, those three players that you've picked, it's really simple. It's an easy game.
Yeah. And that was it, kind of like looking at it, process of elimination. They're 3 easy spots that I don't have to worry about in my eyes. That's just very set and forget, won't be touched at all as we get closer to the season. But starting off wide receivers, and the first guy, we won't need to spend too much time on him. He's in everyone's lineup along with 54% ownership. Currently, it is Jamar Chase. Absolutely lapped the field last year. There actually was news, I guess, that we didn't mention, but it's more of a defensive side of things. The Bengals have come to terms with defensive star Trey Hendrickson to start the year. I think it's 30 mil for this year, but there's nothing ongoing after that. So it's really just a 1 year. I think Trey just wants to play. So he just took that and he'll just run with it. But even with that being said, the defense is still going to be hard. And Jamar Chase, probably the most consistent wide receiver from last year to now. His situation is just set and forget. And these guys, they got that preseason run that they normally didn't have to start the year. And like you said, Mav, he had a bit of a slower start at the gate last year. So now with those preseason games under his belt, he should come out absolutely swinging. And at this cost, he could gain money. I'm not expecting a whole bit of an increase, but I mean, if he drops a 50-point game week 1, like he could gain a bit of cash at the gates. I don't want to miss out on that. I don't want to try and shake things up and not have Jamar Chase in. It's just too hard to pass up on Jamar Chase there.
Yeah, there's not much really more to say about Jamar Chase. We know he's the best. He's probably the best skill position player in the league. If you want to include running backs and wide receivers, for those who don't know what exactly I'm talking about or referring to there, he's the best player there. He has just such large games in fantasy football that he can win you a matchup on his own. If we're talking about draft leagues, so if you fade him into your SuperCoach sides, you run the risk of him having a 3 touchdown, 150 to 180 yard game with 10 catches to go with it. He's definitely capable of doing that, and has done it before. So you just can't fade him. There's not a world where you can do it because, as I said, he'll burn you the time that you don't have him.
Yeah, and looking at last year, he was nearly 150 points better than the second best wide receiver, and that was Justin Jefferson. So like he's in an island of his own. Another easy square for me there in the wide receiver selection, and another very, very easy square. A guy that we all have, CeeDee Lamb, is also in my starting lineup, and again, he should be priced the way that I see it panning out. At the end of the year, he will be the second highest paid wide receiver with a chance to eclipse Jamar Chase if all kind of goes well for him as well. So I want to have both of those guys in tandem. Just too good to pass up. The cost is just flat out disrespect. And with George Pickens also going to the Cowboys, I'm not worried about him eating into CD's production. I think if anything, it's going to help relieve a bit of pressure in the defense when it comes to games, especially in those interconference games or interdivision games where they get a little bit too fancy with the coverage there. So CeeDee Lamb, 16.6. Looking at it now, he is 33% owned, so he's definitely climbing up there as a favorite. And yeah, again, I just think the cost is way too good, Mav. And I won't even throw it to you. I know you're the Cowboys guy. You've got CeeDee Lamb. This one is pretty self-explanatory. CeeDee Lamb, set and forget. He's locked in. But I'll go to my next guy here. And again, I can't remember if you have him, Nico Collins, Mav, Houston Texans wide receiver. Again, this guy, I just think the upside is just huge, and we're getting a discount purely based on his injury and time that he missed last year. In that 4-game pace that he played at the start of the year, he was lapping Jamar Chase. He would have been on a 17-game pace of over 2,000 yards. I know that's not really a sticky thing to say, but hey, that's where his projections were going, and he's a definite double-digit touchdown upside guy as well. And besides him, they added in a couple of rookies. They added in Christian Kirk, an older vet that won't really be able to do too much, and also something that will bode well for Nico Collins. Joe Mixon, he's starting the year in the pup, so their running game, it's going to be very lackluster. They're going to rely heavily on Nico Collins straight out the gate.
Spot on. Hopefully healthy. Hopefully he stays healthy for the whole year, because he's got, I don't think he's number 1 upside, but at least top 5 upside for sure. We just need Stroud to stay upright in the offensive line to hold up, which, they have improved. It's still pretty shaky, but it has slightly improved despite them getting rid of Laramie Tunsil there, the left tackle. But yeah, all in all, man, I do expect Nico Collins to have a big year regardless. Yep, he's in my team as well. I believe this guy is really just value for money down there at number 7. There's much more else to really say. Nico Collins is great talent, fantastic talent.
A little bit surprising too that he's cost higher than CD Lamb as well. CD definitely finished higher than Nico. So yeah, curious to see how they put that one together. But nonetheless, it will throw him in there. My 4th starting wide receiver, Drake London. Again, very similar to Bijan. Bijan and Drake London, they are the offense for the Atlanta Falcons. And last year we saw the usage that Michael Penix, in a very small sample, in those 3 games at the back end of the year, he just peppered Drake London, and he's been talking about it all offseason, just how much he's in line with Drake London. And again, touchdowns are just worth so much in this format, and all of these guys here that I have at the moment, Drake London included, definitely have upside for double-digit touchdowns when it's all said and done. So I can see Drake London finishing as top 5. Probably not a number 1 candidate. I don't think he's probably falls a little bit below that there, just because of the offense as a whole. They've got an okay defense, but still, Drake London, again, I'm taking the cost. He's cheaper than CD. He's cheaper than Nico. I'm going to expect him to gain some cash. Mav, Drake London, is he on your side?
Yeah, he is. Again, we're talking about a guy who has real upside. What is he? Number 15th? Yeah. So
yep.
It'd be interesting. Like you got guys there, sort of AJ Brown, Brian Thomas, Drake London. Those 3 players are sort of going a very similar ADPs in sleeper leagues at the moment. So any 3 of those, any one of those 3 players is fine to have. Drake London probably has the highest upside, and a chance of 25% target share, maybe even higher based on the offense he's got. Darnell Mooney's not, I don't know what he's doing at the moment, but he's not healthy. So he's slated to be coming back early in the season, but it's a week 1 question mark. So Drake London could have a monster week 1, depending on obviously how Penix goes, and Penix scares the crap out of me. But Penix was peppering him in the last few weeks of the year, so he knows that he knows where the ball needs to go. For sure. And I've got to get him in there. Now, this one here, Mav, very curious to hear what you think of this one. I've pulled up your team on the side just to try and compare. I know you don't have this guy. I don't believe Secko had him. This is a little bit of a pod. He's at 7% ownership. Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, my thought process behind this was either him or AJ Brown. I can see them in similar situations in terms of production, but I think Devonta Smith holds more of a threat to AJ Brown than what Travis Hunter will, at least at the gate, compared to Brian Thomas Jr. That was kind of my reasoning behind it there. And also the AJ Brown injury. I know SuperCoach is that format if those guys are injured, but I think I'll just have Brian Thomas Jr. in there to begin with. I expect this offense as a whole to take a big jump up.
we saw just how much work Brian Thomas Jr. was getting in that receiving game at the back end of the year when they kind of had nobody else. Besides Travis Hunter, they haven't really added anybody else. They've got Brenton Strange at tight end. I think they've got De'Ami Brown and also Parker Washington as well in terms of wide receivers. So in my eyes, it's Brian Thomas. It's a sprinkle of Travis Hunter, depending on how that usage goes between offense and defense, and then the running game. And with that, Liam Cohen comes to town. Again, he should improve this offense. I know it is his first year as head coach, but he is a bit of an offensive whiz. We saw what he did last year with Baker and the boys over there in Tampa Bay. Along with this, their schedule is just too good. Carolina week 1, absolutely garbage offense in a division game. So not division game, they're outside division, but should come out swinging against Carolina. And then Cincinnati in week 2. And like that matchup last year was just one to absolutely exploit and target. There's going to be so many points in that game, and I think Brian Thomas could go absolutely ballistic. So going to capitalize on that nice schedule. A little bit of a point of difference there in Brian Thomas Jr. What are your thoughts on that one, Mav?
Wow. Geez. Hard to... look, I haven't drafted Brian Thomas Jr. once yet in any redraft league. He scares the crap out of me. He scares the crap out of me for multiple reasons. Yes, Travis Hunter has a bit of a question mark on him. He's a risk in fantasy football this year. We don't know sure how much defense versus how much offense he's going to be playing. If he's playing 85% offense, let's say for argument's sake, then it's going to hamper BTJ. Just is he's too talented not to. And also, when BTJ really got going last year, it wasn't with Trevor Lawrence. It was with Mac Jones. So it does worry me the fact that that high upside game might not be connected with the starting QB this year. So there's always a bit of concern there with Brian Thomas. I can't question the talent, right? The talent's there with Brian Thomas. And this offense with Hunter and Brian Thomas is going to be so bloody fun to watch if Trevor Lawrence can get his finger out of it and sort it out. Because Trevor Lawrence should be very close to the elite status of the competition with the offense that he's got there at wide receiver. He's got no excuse now. So, yeah, look, I'm looking forward to seeing how that offense looks and how this pick looks. It's a risky pick. It's a good pod, though, man. If we're talking about pods, I have not seen a team yet. This is on social media, in our WhatsApp group, in our Patreon, guys that are asking questions along the way. I've not seen one person have Brian Thomas in their team yet. So it's good to see that someone has now brought this to the table, and it's a good discussion point, but it's a risky pick. It really is.
Yeah, look, and I can appreciate the comment there about Mac Jones. And like last year, of course, it was a little bit inflated. There was nobody else, but Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a better quarterback than Mac Jones. I know the last couple of years, I'm going to make a lot of excuses for Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, Doug Peterson, his last coach over the last couple of years, and then the guy from his first year, I'm losing his name, the college. He came from college and he was just an absolute loon.
Urban Meyer?
Yeah, Urban Meyer. Apparently, when they were in Cincinnati, he was out of the town with a couple of college girls. So like that's just the type of like head coach that Trevor Lawrence had mentoring him. Maybe good in some areas, but definitely not good for NFL. So hopefully everything kind of lines up this year for Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen can kind of make a bit of a difference there. And one final closing stat on Brian Thomas Jr. before I get to my last starting wide receiver. There's only been 3 rookie wide receivers that have ever posted 1,200 plus yards and 10 touchdowns in their rookie year. Randy Moss in 1998, Jamar Chase in 2021, and Brian Thomas Jr. last year. So I think he's in absolutely elite company there. It is cherry picking, but I'm going to use that to my advantage and lock him in there as a nice little juicy pod. Another little pod here, Mav.
Always going to put it to your own little your own way. I like it. I like how the sell point there.
You have to. You
have to create your own narrative.
And I'm sure I've got a couple of car salesmen tuning in here tonight. I know they are listening. You've got to take a page out of their book here. You've got to spin it in ways that benefit you. So shout out to the car salesman. Yeah. My last starting
They know who they
wide
are.
receiver. They know who they are, and they love drinking milk. But anyway, my last starting wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. here, Mav, and I can't get enough of Marv this year. He just fits the post type sleeper, that narrative. He's just, oh man, I think he just fits that T to the bill. For me, I was so high on him last year, and of course I was disappointed given how high he was going and the expectations that we had. But all in all, he had a pretty good rookie year, 880 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. The main thing that I like out of that is the touchdowns. I think that 8 touchdowns at the gate, he saw twice as many end zone targets as his teammate in Trey McBride did at the Arizona Cardinals. And I just think with the Cardinals offense, it's Marv, it's Trey McBride, and it's the running game. It's very consolidated, very similar to the Jags, very similar to the Falcons. The consolidation is just very clear there. And I think Marv at 12.1 mil, it is a big discount, ahead of the likes, or cheaper than the likes of Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, all those kind of guys. And I expect Marv will outproduce all of those guys. We've seen him. He's put on some nice size through the offseason. He's looking like a bit of a beast. And there's been nothing but highlights with this guy. The main thing that he was dealing with last year was separation issues at the line with defenders. That extra size, he shouldn't have any problems beating those guys at the line. And hopefully Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, that's probably the biggest question mark that I have with Marv, is how he's going to be utilized, because we just saw last year there was so many go routes, so many deep routes. He needs to be more utilized around that short to mid area of the field. And hopefully Drew Petzing can pull his finger out and see what we see and utilize the top tier talent that they have in Marvin Harrison Jr.
What's his ownership percentage right now?
His ownership percentage is 12%. So it's up there. Tyreek Hill is 18%. I think AJ Brown and Brian Thomas Jr. are in the single digits as well. So he's lurking around there.
Okay. So yeah, I have seen obviously Marvin Harrison in a few teams as well along the way as a more of a mid-priced player with obviously breakout potential. There's no question. There is no question that's the case. Again, these players in the mid-priced areas scare the shit out of me. They really do, because if you don't get the investment that you're looking for, because you're looking for cash gen out of them, that's what you're there for. Marvin Harrison may not be in your starting or your finishing team in week 17 or week 18, wherever this format finishes. But you want him to get to a price where you can upgrade him to I don't know, let's say the second or third best wide receiver for the year, whoever that may be. I'm just spitballing, but could be Lad McConkey. I'm not saying it is going to be, but so yeah, that's probably what you want to try and do. So there's always concern that he won't be able to do it. So Kyle scares the crap out of me. Cliff Kingsbury scares the crap out of me. How they used Marvin Harrison last year was borderline criminal. He's a fantastic player one-on-one. He's just, he's a fantastic player in general. We just need the ball in his hands a lot more than what they gave him last year. So hopefully this is the year that they start sort of peppering him, giving him, 7-8 catches, hopefully every game. And he does break out, and he turns into a top 5, top 7 player in his position. Is always, what we want out of him. And he really does have the potential to do it. It's just he may get held back by the pieces. And look, James Conner, they'll run the ball still with him and Benson. And then you got McBride as well that demands targets as well. And then you got Michael Wilson's not too bad. He'll see a few targets. He's a bit of a long ball threat too, so he'll see some targets here and there because he's not a bad home run threat. But yeah, I don't mind the pick. I think it's a good pick. We just relying on him to make some money.
Yeah, and that was the main thing too in mine. And maybe hit it on the head. Marvin Harrison won't be in my starting lineup at the end of the year. Probably I'm looking into the future now. Justin Jefferson dealing with that hamstring. He might have a little bit of a slower start. So maybe Marvin Harrison, by that time that Justin Jefferson kind of comes online, Mars may be enough cash to make that upgrade from there. So that's kind of where my thinking is, focusing on the cash grab. And out of all the mid-price guys, Marvin Harrison just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. So I had to slide him in there. And again, with the rookies, very, very quick. I've got 2 rookies here in the wide receiver bench spot. Don't need to spend too much time on. I believe we all have these 2 guys, this combo in our bench. That is Ted McMillan, rookie for the Carolina Panthers, and also Emeka Egbuka, rookie wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And not a lot of time to waste on these guys here. They're rookies. They're going to have starting roles immediately out the gate. They're going to produce immediately out the gate, and the cash is just going to be too good to pass up. I was kind of looking at maybe Travis Hunter potentially, but I'm not going to double down with BTJ and Travis Hunter. My eggs are probably more so in the BTJ side of it. So I'll stick tried and true, Ted McMillan and Egbuka. And Mav, I won't even bother throwing it to you on this one. I think that one's it's clear cut across the board with those 2 guys.
Cash is king, brother.
Cash is king. That's as simple as it is. Now, tight ends. Again, this is an area where I also keeping cash in mind, but I do want to also, not contradict myself, but I also do want to have some starting production at the gate. Brock Bowers, he's out of the big top 3. He's the cheapest. So that's the direction that I'm going in. And I think he probably has the most upside as well. Even with the Amari Cooper signing to Brock Bowers, I don't think it matters. I think Brock Bowers is still going to be their number 1 target, tried and true for the Las Vegas Raiders. His touchdowns, that's the only thing that I'm kind of worried about. He only had a handful last year. Hopefully he can get that up to that 7, 8, 9 range. That would be absolutely perfect. But the volume is just going to be way too good to pass up. And again, he's the cheapest out of these guys. If I wasn't going Brock Bowers here, it was going to be George Kittle over Trey McBride. I know that kind of double handles about the cheapest cost here, but George Kittle with the injuries they have on 49ers, like he could get multiple touchdown games straight out the gate with all those guys out. So Brock Bowers for me, they're Mav in my starting tight end spot.
Yeah, the fact that Jacoby Myers requested a trade today makes me like Brock Bowers even more, because you just know where the ball's going to be going. Murray Cooper doesn't scare me at all. Deontay Thornton doesn't really scare me at all. They're not taking targets away from Brock Bowers, in my opinion. The news of the news of Jacoby Myers just brings out Brock Bowers with even more targets coming his way, which is just what that's going to look like could be scary, numbers wise. He's, again, I've said this so many times, but he's a wide receiver in a tight end's body. He's athletic. He's quick. You double team him, he still catches the ball. Like there's so many things that he can do well. He doesn't go down with first contact on a tackle. Like he'll make sure you feel the pain before you even try to take him down. He's just a special talent. And look, to be honest with you, I think he would be tight end 1 again this year. There's no reason why he wouldn't be able to. Like George Kittle's probably the other one that would probably challenge him. Again, based off opportunity of San Fran not having anyone off the gate straight away. So he's got some big games. Definitely at the start of the year, but Brock Bowers, if healthy, he's going to dominate the year.
Yeah, that was another nice and easy spot for me, which was good. And for the remaining tight ends, I am going to loop these guys in together. I've got a couple of rookies here, Mav. I've got Tyler Warren in my starting spot, rookie tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. I'll just try and find him. I think he's around 4.7. Geez, there's a lot of bum names when you filter it by lowest cost, but Tyler Warren. I should have just typed it in.
Tyler Warren. There's a search feature.
Yeah, there is a search feature. I should just use my brain a little bit. And I've got Colson Loveland on bench. So with these, again, I'm just sticking in with cash. I think the rookies are too good. Tyler Warren, I've got him in my starting spot. From what we've seen in preseason, I know it's preseason, we have to take it with a grain of salt, but when he was out there with the starters, he was seeing so many passes go his way at the gate. Josh Downs, wide receiver for the Colts, he's currently injured, dealing with a hamstring, might not be ready to go for week 1. So it just opens up the door even more so for Tyler Warren. And the news of Danny Dimes being the starting quarterback for the Colts, it lifts all the wide receivers and pass catchers for this team. Tyler Warren is going to benefit from that. Danny Dimes is a much better passer, much more accurate passer compared to Anthony Richardson. And even though it sounds silly to say, Richardson, his stats last year, I think he was throwing at like 50% completion rate per clip, and league average is about that 65%. That's where Danny Dimes kind of plays in. So he's going to have more catchable targets than what he would have had, and he could have a real opportunity to be the number one target in this wide receiver or pass catching room for the Colts. So I've got Tyler Warren there, and I'll quickly just throw over to Colson Loveland. Again, could be a little bit controversial here, but I know the narrative with Chicago Bears, there is too many mouths to feed. We don't know how that kind of looks. But again, showing with how much Ben Johnson, the new head coach for the Bears, talks about Colson Loveland, raves about how good he is. And also in preseason, again, grain of salt, he did produce. He was producing well when the starters were on the field, and you could see Caleb Williams was actively looking for him when it came to pass. I think we will have some starting production. It might look a little bit, or it might not be as high as Tyler Warren by any means, but I think the cost there at 4.5 mil, he is going to generate cash at the gate. And before throwing it to you, Mav, it was, I guess, I think that kind of pushed me to this area. You did have TJ Hawk as your second starting tight end, and I do love the cost, but again, cash is king. I'm sticking with that. I want to try and maximize cash value, and Colson Loveland's production, if he snags a couple of early touchdowns, he could even produce similar to TJ Hawkinson out the gate. So that's my thought process there.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of builds of 2 tight ends, and that's fair. Tyler Warren's obviously a lock. He should be another one that should be 100% owned in SuperCoach. He's going to feature a lot in that Colts offense with definitely a Danny Dimes-esque. Well, I've done Danny Dimes starting QB, but he'll throw the ball around. It's definitely an upgrade on Anthony Richardson, as you said, which is scary, but it is. It's crazy to say that. You never would have guessed that 2 years ago. Seriously, you wouldn't. But yeah, so Tyler Warren should be 100% owned. Loveland might be a bit slow off the gates, so out of the gates early early on in the year. Yeah, there's all reports that he's been sort of training the house down and being a real feature piece for the team. That scares me based off they got DJ Moore in the Dunze and Swift, and Cole Kmet might even take some time off him because Cole Kmet's still startable in the league, in my opinion. So depending on how they do it, look, you'd expect Loveland to dominate the position. Don't get me wrong, but Kmet will probably dig into his time just a little bit, especially early on, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, so you're hoping on Loveland to sneak a couple of touchdowns in the first few weeks, or just be heavily involved, which I can see. I'm just a bit nervous about it, so that's why he's not in my team. But again, cash is king. You're trying to get him in to generate some cash, and he will do that. So tight ends is just such a risky position for a rookie, but he will generate some cash for you.
Yeah, it is risky, and with rookie tight ends this year in particular, it's really Warren and Loveland. Or Warren's probably on an island by himself. Then Loveland's kind of on a smaller island. And then there's the likes of Elijah Arroyo, Terrence Ferguson for the Rams. He's injured at the moment. And I can't think of any other the rookie tight ends at the gate that might even Mason Taylor. Yeah, that could be that could be another one in consideration. He might start a little bit hotter at the gate than Loveland, but I'm just going to take Loveland. He was a 10th overall pick in this year's class. I'm going to back the athleticism and also that offense as a whole. I think the Jets offense is going to be dirty. It's going to be disgusting to watch at times. They're going to be running the ball a whole heap. So maybe not as much production for Mason Taylor, but we'll see how that one plays out. But that's my tight ends. Again, sticking on that theme of cash is king. Thanks, Mav, for absolutely embedding that in my brain. Cash is king, and that's my area there. And with kickers,
it is.
I do sway a little bit different. And again, kind of tinkering around if I want to go a mid-price guy, but I just don't want to have to worry about kickers. I hate kickers. I hated looking at this position, going through these players. I just think it's gross. So for me, I'm going to take the guy that I want to get behind the most. He's got a fun name, Cameron Dicker. He is my starting kicker. I've slotted him in there. And one thing with Dicker Cameron Dicker the kicker. And one thing with Dicker that kind of got it over the line for me was actually something that Secko said. He starts a lot of games this year in a dome, and for kickers, that just kind of takes out the variance of any weather potential to kind of screw up those kicks. So stick with Cameron Dicker. He's in a more premium position. He's not the highest. but he kind of does have a little chance to generate a little bit of cash. So that was my kind of thought process there with Cameron Dicker. And before throwing it to you, Mav, to catch your thoughts, I will just throw in Tyler Loop as my bench kicker. Again, what his 43% ownership, crazy that isn't higher by this point of the year. Cash is king. He's 3.7 mil. He's a starting kicker, taking over for Justin Tucker. Hopefully, he doesn't find himself in any mischief like his predecessor there. But for me, Cameron Dicker starter and Tyler Loop at the bench spot.
Yeah, nice. Don't mind Cameron Dicker. Don't mind the Chargers, to be honest with you, at the same time. So, you want to get a decent offense, sure, but you also want to try and get an offense that doesn't finish drives, because you want 50-yarders, 40-yarders instead of PATs. That's the aim of the game. So I think that the only concern is with the Chargers is they'll be able to finish off drives this year. I think the offense is pretty stacked. So that's my only concern with Cameron Dicker. But hey, he could see plenty of opportunity based off the offense. They can't finish every single drive, not possible. But they can at least score on nearly every drive that they have. So that means Cameron Dicker will have to be involved. I'm surprised he didn't go Aubrey, to be honest with you. Aubrey, in the same sort of situation, plays in domes, and if you're going to spend the money, I'd spend on Aubrey. People were saying over the Twitter space that you shouldn't be spending top dollar on a kicker. I don't see why that'd be a bad thing, to be honest, because you still need some points coming in, and there's still a big difference between there you go. Got Hunter in the chat, $12 million on Dicker. I think he means in the kicker as well. But yeah, it's people are saying, well, why would I spend money on a kicker? Like, what's the purpose behind it? But they do generate points, and you want guys that generate points, because you still have to field one. You have to field one of them, but you have to have two on your roster. So when it comes down to overall rank, you got to make sure that you aren't just giving up on that position entirely, because it will hurt your rank. If you like it or not, it will. So be very careful on that. And then Tyler Loop's obviously the obvious one. It's too cheap in a good offense. He'll generate cash.
Yeah, another free spot, Tyler Loop, for sure. And yeah, Mav, with Brandon Aubrey as well. What kind of thought process? Another little point of difference. Aubrey's at 16%,
sure,
and Cam Dicker's at 7%, and it's a bit of a mil discount. But Aubrey, I can't expect him making money straight out the gate. I think there might be a little opportunity for Dicker to at least return a little bit of value and generate some cash. So staying tried and true with my theme is, mate, I wouldn't go that far, but I do like the name and I can get behind it. But moving on to defense and special teams, again, just gross positions to look at. For me, Arizona Cardinals was just sticks out so clear for me. They are the 18th priced defense, 6.5 mil, and they've just invested so heavily this offseason on the defense. In the rookie draft that's just gone, they spent all but one pick on defensive players, and the one offensive pick they used, I think it was round 6. So they've absolutely boosted this defense. And of course they've got Jonathan Gannon. He is a defensive minded head coach as well. So I think he's going to have them ready to roll. And with defenses, the main thing that I wanted to look at was schedule. The Cardinals, the Saints versus week 1, they've got every chance to keep those guys to 0 and absolutely shut them out. Carolina, again, they could absolutely just run the house through Carolina, and that's their first game in Arizona for the season as well. So the boys are going to be pumped up and fired. And then San Francisco in week 3, and they've got a lot of injury questions there, so they might not be as firing as what they usually are. So for me, it's Arizona Cardinals. I think a lot of cash that they can gain in this spot. And I'll add in my bench spot as well here before throwing to you, Mav. The New England Patriots, very similar scenario. They invested a whole heap on the defensive end. I believe one of the biggest transactions was Milton Williams from the Super Bowl team, Philly Eagles last year. Is a massive defensive tackle for those guys there. And again, Mike Vrabel, that was probably the biggest addition that this team could have had overall. He's a defensive-minded head coach. When he was at Tennessee, all those defenses were kind of middling in the area at worst. And New England Patriots, they're the 31st ranked or priced defense, and also ranked here in SuperCoach. So I just think the amount of cash that I can get out of the New England Patriots and Arizona Cardinals is just too good to pass up. And to stick on with theme, New England Patriots, they versus Las Vegas Raiders week 1, Miami Dolphins week 2, and Pittsburgh Steelers in week 3. So all offenses that I can't see them giving up too many points across, and they could definitely get after those offensive lines. In particular, Miami, I think Tua is just going to be a sitting duck in all matchups that they come across. So they're my defenses there, Mav. What do you think with those ones?
Yeah, look, defenses are fine. I want to also note, and I don't know if I noted this last time, but it's very important. I think my strategy going into 2025 with team defense is not trading them out. Obviously, if you have to, cool, but the aim of the game for me, I think, will be just keeping him in for the whole year, and not burning trades based off team defenses on any given week. So in saying that, we got to make sure I haven't got the same bye week, because you have to still field one of them. Likely in your scenario, one's got a week 14 bye, the other one's got a week 8 bye. So you're all good in that scenario. So that's a good thing. But yeah, ideally, you just don't want to be burning trades on team defense. I think the Arizona Cardinals, as you said, high risers have potential to be a playmaking defense. They've improved their whole defense. They still have Buda Baker as one of their safeties, and he's a playmaker. He can intercept and get some pick sixes along the way. So, fun defense. That'll be a fun one to watch. And then obviously the Pats just in general are improving as a team, slowly and surely. So, I don't mind it at all, mate.
Yeah, and enough time on defense is the last spot here. And Mav, this one is your pick. You sold me on this flex spot and kind of opened my eyes to the whole really trying to focus on generating cash at the gate. And it's just too hard to pass up on JJ McCarthy. If he's not in your bench quarterback spot, I think he's going to be well and truly primed for that flex spot. And he's only at 22% ownership too, which is surprising. I think maybe people aren't kind of coming together on that. Hopefully we see that rise as we get closer to the season. But again, I wanted to have JJ in my starting lineup over Cam Ward because I think he probably will produce better at the gate. He's got a better offense, better system as a whole, better pass catches. And when it comes to week 3 or week 4, rather, when they get Jordan Addison back on deck, wide receiver for those guys, he's just going to take another step up as well. So I think he's going to generate a whole heap of cash and also produce in my starting lineup over Cam Ward. That's me, Mav. That's my team there.
Yeah, nice. I've got the same thing with McCarthy. He's in my flex position. Again, I'm trying to generate some cash there. That's the whole purpose of it. But I don't think it's going to be horrendous. You got 16 mil left over there as well. So healthy amount of money in the bank there to upgrade. Or if Marvin Harrison gets injured week 1, which again, anything's possible in week 1 with injuries. But if a mid-price player goes down injured, you've got the money in the bank to upgrade and fix that straight away. You could turn him into a Justin Jefferson if you wanted to, for argument's sake. You could even put Jalen Hurts into Josh Allen if you wanted to. You could put in, you can put money in anywhere realistically. You've got the coin there to really make any upgrade you want for one single player. It's a good problem to have. Good problem to have. So yeah, it's not a bad squad. And this is probably where you made money in the double tight end, rookie tight end there, saving some coin in that position alone. Again, the purpose is generate cash, but also at the same time, you've actually saved cash. So yeah, interesting. You could also turn Colson Loveland and George Kittle and forget about tight end. You could do that as well. So there's a lot of avenues you could do with this squad.
Yeah, and that was a good point to mention here too, Mav. I kind of slid past that. 16.4 mil in the bank. And when it comes to making trades, I'm going to load up early, I think. Like, I'll have that much cash to play with. Maybe by week 4, week 5, I'll definitely make a huge impact on my starting lineup and have guys that'll probably be set and forget, depending on George Kittle. Very good option there as well with how Loveland has kind of progressed. So I'll definitely have enough there in the bank to throw in. So, but that is my team reveal. Let us know. We've got Mavs and also Secko's. The link to their videos of their team reveals is in the description below. If you have seen or not, let us know what you kind of think, how this is all looking. And I have to, while we're on SuperCoach, I have to bring this up because the league just keeps growing, which is surprising. Our Insight Unlimited SuperCoach League, currently 350 members, I believe. So it's still going up. We've still got a couple of weeks till season start. The code is 57775 to join in. We're doing giving away prizes for the top weekly winner in total points each week. Everybody's involved. We've got a nice big crew in there, so definitely join along if you haven't already. And probably people are getting sick of me bringing that up, but it's too good. It's too good. A free league, free prizes. You can test your skills against a whole heap of other like-minded people in the Inside NFL community. So make sure to get involved there. And before we wrap up, Mav, I will just touch on a couple of things that we have coming up. Tomorrow night, we will have another SuperCoach edition. So if you are a SuperCoach fanatic, in particular with NFL, we will have that tomorrow. But then Thursday night, this could be one of the probably the most banter, the most chirpy types of shows that we have coming up. We've got our Insight Contributors League. Insight Creators Redraft League over on Sleeper. And we've got the likes of, we've got all the NFL boys. We've got SuperCoach Royalty and Whisperer. We've got Matrix, Braino, Horse, a whole heap of guys filled in there. A lot of guys that cover different sports over the Insight banner. So that one will be good to watch. And hopefully we have a couple of cameos. So it'll be a live stream similar to last night's 90-second pick timers, 14 rounds. There'll be a whole lot of chaos. And yeah, hopefully a few guest appearances while in the clock. Who's got pick one? Actually, on that, Mav, what do you tell us?
Yeah, somehow I've rolled out pick one in an online dash. I've somehow snagged number one pick. But you've got the number 12 pick and somehow put a round 3 reversal on that one, mate. So at the end of the day, you've actually got the true number one pick in this scenario. I do like a late pick in these leagues, and you've decided you wanted to reverse it around and give yourself, look, cunt in the chat saying that you fixed another draft for sure. I've got pick 1, you've got pick 12 with a round 3 reversal. So we're both laughing to a degree. I mean, Jesus, I think I'm actually the real loser out of it, to be honest. But anyway, we'll see what we can get.
I couldn't have planned it any better, Mav. I didn't even need to pull a swift one. It was 3rd round reversal from the gate, and it just so happened to be that the commissioner who set it all up got the best pick arguably in the draft. But it'll be fun. It'll be a good one to watch out. Of course, all of us in there will get involved. Hopefully we see a couple of trades on the clock. We haven't had that in any of our fast drafts. I know it can be a little bit too hard to handle when you've only got 90-second picks and you're trying to line up some cues and wheel and deal. But be very active. That'll be an absolute massive show on Thursday night as we close out this week. And then again,
guarantee also a shit team.
You guarantee it. Can't guarantee it. So make sure you stay tuned. Let us know. You can guarantee Horse will have a shit team, and Mav, he just can't miss. So he's going to have a gun team no matter what. But from that one spot, I had to give him a little bit of a handicap and see how that goes. But that'll do us here tonight, gents. Thanks for joining in, gents and ladies. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday evening, this SuperCoach edition and my team reveal for the Inside NFL show. So we'll see you again same time tomorrow with another SuperCoach edition. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled to see what that is. It'll be another fun one, and can't wait to get back into it. Mav, say goodbye to the people.
See ya.
Love it. See you guys.